Hell Let Loose, a realistic World War II first-person shooter with a strong focus on teamwork. But should you buy it right now? This video will answer all of your questions, starting with a 60-second, too long didn't read overview of the game so you can tap out early if it doesn't appeal to you. Then we'll see what it's like to actually play it by packing in as much detail about the gameplay as humanly possible, before looking at the different types of players this game might appeal to, as well as analysing a variety of other factors to help you decide whether this game is worth your time and money today. Hell Let Loose is a brutally realistic World War II first-person shooter, where you can play as the Germans, Americans, Soviets, and British. Each match sees two teams of 50 versus 50 fight for control of key points on a vast map for more than an hour. One shot is usually all it takes to bring you down, encouraging cautious gameplay, making use of cover, and coordination with teammates. The game is uncompromising in that it forces you to join a squad before you can play, and although you can play without a mic, many squads will kick you out if you don't. Whether in a tank, firing artillery, or as an infantryman, a good kill-death ratio is basically meaningless. Patience, teamwork, and knowing when to take a shot are far more effective tools. So if you like the sound of realistic World War II squad-based gameplay, that's basically the opposite of Call of Duty. With almost cinematic levels of immersion at times, Hell Let Loose might be your cup of tea. If that hasn't put you off, then grab a drink and get comfortable as we look through the detail of what you actually do in Hell Let Loose. Let's start with the big picture by looking at one of the maps. Each map is split into 5 combat areas. Each of those is made up of 3 sectors, and each sector is made up of 4 grid squares, which for reference are 200 meters by 200 meters. The game will choose one sector from each of the 5 combat areas, which both teams will fight for control of, one at a time. You begin to capture a sector by having more players than the opposing side within the 4 grid squares of that sector. The circle in each sector is called a hard point. Although all players within a sector help to capture it, each player within the hard point is worth more than each player standing outside of it. So although it's preferable to be in the hard point, it's not essential. In the warfare mode, teams start by fighting over the middle sector, and it's a tug of war from there. In offensive mode, one team controls the whole map, and the other attacks from one side and must advance to the other side, sector by sector. Once you've chosen a team, you must join a squad or create your own. Most squads are 6-player infantry squads, but there are also 3-player armor squads if you want to drive a vehicle, or 2-player recon squads if you want to be a sniper. One player is also the commander of each team, but for now, we'll focus on the 6-player infantry squad. Once you've joined a squad and said hello, you must choose a role to play as, which determines your equipment and abilities. The squad leader sets up spawn points and communicates with other squad leaders and the commander on a dedicated leadership voice channel. A rifleman is literally just a rifleman. Anti-tank and machine gunner are the only roles that can use those weapons respectively. Assault and automatic rifleman roles lead from the front with decent weapons and grenades. Medics can revive and have plenty of smoke grenades, and the support role will provide supplies to the team which can be used for a variety of things, but mostly for creating spawn points, and so engineers can set up defenses such as bunkers and anti-tank obstacles. Oh, and engineers can also heal tanks and lay down mines, but more importantly, they can construct 3 different types of nodes, which provides the commander with resources they can spend on a variety of offensive and defensive abilities. Provided enough supplies are nearby, an engineer can construct a munitions node, a manpower node, or a fuel node, with each node increasing the amount of munitions, manpower, and fuel resources for the team commander to spend. The commander will issue orders to the squad leaders via a dedicated leadership voice channel. Beyond directing their team, the commander can spend manpower points to establish an airhead, which is a temporary spawn point, often behind enemy lines. They can reinforce to increase the capture power of strong points in friendly sectors. They can use encouraged to double the resources produced by nodes for 5 minutes, and they can convert manpower into munitions or fuel. They can use munitions to establish an airhead spawn, drop a crate of supplies, which is vital for establishing spawn points. They can call in a recon plane to reveal enemy positions, a precision strike against vehicles and structures, a strafing run from a plane, or my personal favourite, the bombing run, which is pretty insane. Then finally, we have the fuel resource to spawn recon, light, medium, and heavy armour for the armour squads to utilise. To clarify, the commander is a player just like anyone else who can join in with attacks with their rifle, but as you can imagine, they spend much of their time looking at a map, coordinating teammates, and calling in useful abilities at key moments. So, you've joined a squad, chosen a role, the commander and squad leads are telling you what to do, and now it's time to work with your teammates to either defend or attack a point, utilising your own dedicated squad voice chat. But how do you spawn? Each team has permanent spawn points right at the back of the map, and when you first start a match, you'll spawn there and hitch a ride in a transport truck to get to the first point. But beyond that, you'll want your squad leads to build garrisons and an outpost for you to spawn from once you die. You can die as much as you like without it negatively affecting the overall game, but it can take a painfully long time to spawn back, let alone get back into a meaningful position. However, to create a garrison for the whole team to spawn on, the squad lead will require supplies, some of which can come from a support player, but mostly a supply truck will need to drop off supplies, or the commander will need to call in a supply drop from the sky. Once enough supplies are present, a squad lead can create a garrison for all teammates to spawn from. But the number of garrisons your team can build are limited. You can't build garrisons too close to each other, plus an enemy soldier only needs to get close enough for you to no longer be able to spawn there, and it doesn't take much for them to dismantle it completely. So creating garrisons in a sensible position and protecting them is a fundamental part of Hell Let Loose gameplay. In addition to garrisons, a squad leader can create an outpost, which is a spawn point specifically for their own squad, has a much lower spawn time, and can be placed more freely across the map, albeit only one outpost can be created at a time. Again, these outposts can be easily destroyed by the enemy team, so finding a safe position that's close enough to your objective is essential. Dying in Hell Let Loose is very, very easy, usually with only one bullet. Although you might get lucky with the spawn timer, generally the creation, protection, and re-establishing of garrisons and outposts are the lifeblood of a game, and indeed, so is doing what you can to disrupt the enemy's ability to spawn. Although you'll spend most of your time playing in a 6-player infantry squad, you could play in a 3-player armor squad or 2-player recon squad. Playing as an armor squad is the only way you can control a tank, with a driver, a gunner, and a commander working together. Although powerful, tanks are extremely vulnerable to flanking attacks from infantry squads with bazookas and satchels, as well as AT guns and, of course, other tanks. Driving headfirst into an enemy position will usually end up with the tank being destroyed, so most of the time they hang back to snipe with their main gun and multiple machine guns, or support an enemy attack with infantry either side to protect their flanks. Tank gameplay is incredibly satisfying, but does take organisation and coordination to stop it becoming a constant suicide mission. Recon squads play much like a normal infantry squad, except they are the only guys with a sniper rifle, and unofficially they are responsible for keeping the enemy's artillery in check. Oh yes, at the back of the map are a few artillery guns that players can use. You can't actually see where your shots land, so coordination with other players is crucial to ensure you know where your shells need to land, and even then, you need a master's degree in mathematics to even know where to aim your gun, especially when you consider artillery can be devastating to both enemy and friendly players. It's worth noting that Hell Let Loose tries to be a realistic World War II simulator. Various maps are grounded in some reality, reflecting at least in part how that particular battlefield did look, whether it's Hurtgen Forest, St. Mary Glees, or Omaha Beach. It's disappointing that there is no building or ground destruction, but the look and feel of the game is really quite immersive at times. The sound design is immense, with distant explosions, machine gun fire crackling over your head, grenades exploding nearby. It all adds to an exceedingly cinematic experience, which somewhat makes up for the fact that you can spend 20 minutes running to an objective only to be killed out of absolutely nowhere and have to do it all over again. But if you work closely with your squad leader, they'll create a spawn point near the objective that will get you back into the fight within 20 seconds. Hopefully by now you have an idea of what it's like to actually play Hell Let Loose, so let's address some other, more practical considerations that might affect your purchasing decision. Theoretically, you can jump into Hell Let Loose and have a great time, provided you stick to playing as a rifleman and following your squad leader's instructions. However, each role beyond that takes time to master, especially the squad lead and commander roles, giving greater depth to the game when players are ready for it. Hell Let Loose is not the sort of game you pick up for 10 minutes and put down again. Matches last up to 90 minutes, and although you can leave partway through, it's far more satisfying to wait until the end of a match. Therefore, this game is really only suitable for those who can find at least an hour to play, preferably more. Hell Let Loose is absolutely a game you can and should play with friends. The Discord community makes it very easy to find new people to play with too, so this is a social game to play with friends and to play with absolute randoms, provided you're happy to have a chat. Hell Let Loose has been around for several years now, and as such it's on sale almost constantly. Although 40% discounts are seen regularly, it's best to wait for at least a 50% discount, as they do occur. There is also the very occasional free weekend, and the game is available via Xbox Game Pass, at least for now, so there really is no need for you to pay full price. The game does have many DLCs, but basically none of them are worth it, as they're purely cosmetic. The base game is all you need to have a rootin' tootin' good time. So with all that said, is Hell Let Loose right for you today? As always, it depends who you are and what you're into. If you enjoy the fast pace of Battlefield, Call of Duty, or other Twitch reflex FPS games, then Hell Let Loose isn't for you. This game requires patience. Sometimes I spend 20 minutes simply trying to get a good flank on the enemy team so my MG can have an effect on the game. If you want to slide around getting 360 headshots, stick with arcade shooters. If you love a bit of World War II immersion, you're going to love everything Hell Let Loose has to offer, as it can truly be an immersive experience at times. This game can also be appealing to strategy game enthusiasts who perhaps don't normally enjoy FPS titles. You can take your time in this game, use your head, find a good position, and squeeze that trigger at the right moment. All of the things strategy gamers are good at. I've mentioned several times that a mic is essential for Hell Let Loose, and many of you won't be comfortable with that. So does that mean you should avoid it? Truth is, you can play this game without talking. In fact, plenty of people do. But the point is, you get the absolute best out of the game when you do communicate with your squad. Not everyone will, but when they do, you'll have a blast. So I highly recommend that you pluck up the courage to say, "Hey guys," when you enter a squad, as it could be the difference between an average game and one of the best games of your life. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask, or if you already own the game and have some additional information you'd like to add, please let us all know in the comments below. If you found the video useful, please leave a like for the algorithm gods, and if you enjoy this style of review, consider subscribing for more content, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.